All right, fall's here. Time to cozy up with some coding, some pumpkin flavored almond milk. Just dig in here. We're actually finally starting to learn a bunch of new things today. Let's see. Wow. Save the empty screen. We're talking about the databases, lists, storing information on our program. So that's really awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look at our designer window. Now, this looks kind of not so great. I'm sure you guys can make it look prettier, but I'm going to show this just to kind of show all the components we need. We need a date picker. We need a list view. That is new. We're going to need some text boxes, a bunch of buttons, some we are going to need some labels, and then we're going to get some new stuff, the tiny database, the speech recognizer, and we already know the notifier. Okay, so here we go. Let's dig in. Let's take a look at our thing from PLTW here. Okay, so we are going to add the tiny DB, add the speech recognizer. Yes, all these buttons, perfect. We can name them, change the text, all that stuff. And then get the layout, make it look a little bit nicer than what it does, and we can take a look at it. All right, so then we're going to get into the coding, which is really what I'm most interested in showing on the video. Hopefully most people are getting the hang of the colors and stuff, the layouts. So we're going to need two variables. We're going to need the question number and the question text. Okay. All right, so let's see. So we're going to create a global variable that will hold the index. Okay, so let's start that one. We'll call up our variables and we will, no, not set, although I'll just leave it because initialize global index 2, and then we will use a math icon, and we're going to go and initialize that to 1. Now, most programs use 0, but actually MIT App Inventor uses 1 as the first one in the index. Okay, and I believe we need another one that we're actually going to make a list. So we are going to make another variable. I'm going to call this one questions. You guys can call it whatever you want. Questions. And we're going to initialize this one to a list. So the variable is actually going to contain a list right here. And let's pop that in, and then we're going to use this editor to add a couple more items, however many questions we want to have in our interview. Let's just go with 4 for now. That's probably good. And the blank strings, we'll copy that, paste it 4 times, plug them in, and then we will type in our questions into these blocks right here. So I'm gonna, let's see, what's your favorite color? And now hopefully we will choose a bit more relevant questions than this. What type of car do you like? Maybe this is for marketing for vehicles. SU for compact, diesel, or gas. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So there's my 4 questions, and they are stored in a list. All right. And then in the remaining strings, yes, add a final string that shows that all the questions have been asked. Yes, okay. So this one we're going to change to questions complete. And then I think you want to say something like this: click next question to restart the interview. Click next. All right, there we go. So we have our 2 variables. One of them is in the form of a list with a bunch of questions saved as it. Okay, so onward and forward. All right, so initializing the screen. So when we first open up the screen, we want something to happen. And we want the first question to pop up as soon as the app starts here. So on the screen 1 block store, we're going to grab the when screen opens event handler. So let's see, screen 1 right here. and when screen1.initialize, and what do we want to do? We want to drag out and add the set display question text label block. Select item list. Yep. Okay. So we are going to, in this one, we're going to program the display question label right here to show our question. So we're going to set display question.text to, and now we're going to get our list. And we're going to, let's see, is list thing, where is it? Index, select list item. What is it here? To make a list, create empty list. What do we want to do here? We want to get the list item block. Okay. So lists. Select list item right here. We want to grab that one and we want to choose our list. Which list is it? So we're going to grab our variable right here and we can set our global questions and index. We will make 1. So I'm just going to grab this one, copy it, paste it, and there we go. So now it's grabbing the first question, right? Or it's grabbing the first question from the questions list. So it's going to first ask, what's your favorite color? All right, let's check our code, make sure we're doing it right. Get global index. Did we do that right? Nope, we didn't. Oh, good. Because okay, I understand. Because otherwise it wouldn't do that. So we will just grab our global index right here instead of 1. Although I suspect it might have still worked with just putting 1 in there. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know everything. Test your app. When the app starts, you should see the first question from your list. I've tested it before. I'm pretty confident that is going to work. Okay, using the index variable to loop through questions. So here is where we start getting into some pretty intense stuff where we loop through, we ask each question, and we record the answers into a tiny database, the TinyDB. So it's the name of the person interviewed, the date via the date picker, right? So we have a lot of stuff to do here. So we're going to select and drag out the get next question dot click event handler. So let's see. So we're going to get the next question button. So when we click that one, what do we want to do? We actually want to do a bunch of things. So we're going to add an if then else control structure. And so let's do that. Control if then, and then we'll use this modifier to put the else in there. Okay. So now the basically the condition we want to check for in our if statement is if the index is less than the length of the list right here, the number of questions. So if the global index is less than the length of the global interview questions, then, so let's take a look at the code, length of list. Okay, so that was the one I needed. So we're going to use our our math, and we'll grab one of those so that we can check and see if something is less than something else. And we will grab our index. So let's grab our index, make a copy of that. Okay, we'll plug in our index if that is less than, and now we'll go to our lists drawer and we will check the length of the list. Which list? The questions list. Okay, so we need the questions variable again, make a copy of that and put it in there. Okay, perfect. So if that's true, then what do we want to do? Then, well, one thing we want to do is play the next question, and we also want to record the answers here. So then set the interviewee answers dot text to blank. So the interviewee answers right here, we want to set that to blank so that we're basically erasing their old answer. So that's useful. That way they don't have to erase it. I don't know if you've noticed sometimes when you type in things like in the guessing game app, when you would type in one answer and check it, then all of a sudden that would stay in there and you would have to erase it the next time. It was a little bit annoying. So this will get rid of that. It will set that to blank. And it will set a global index to add 1 to the increment. Okay. Oh, okay. And we want to add 1 to the index. Okay. So then we're going to use this structure, which we should be somewhat familiar with right here, where we add, yes, and we're going to finally use our set variable block. We're going to set index to, and then we're going to copy index. Okay, that's all right. We'll just use that one to index plus 1. And we grab math brick out of here, change that to 1. Perfect. Okay. So if it's less, then set the answer field to blank and add 1 to our index. That will change what is showing, which question is showing. Else, so now otherwise, if global index, once it reaches excuse me, an equal length of the list, so once we've asked all the questions, then what are we going to do? Now here's where it's going to get tricky. Each time the program runs through the conditional, right? So we want to add a set display questions.text at the outside end of the control structure. What are we doing here? Else set that to blank, set that to blank. Oh, here we go. Else all the questions have been asked. We want to set the interviewee answers text to blank, set the interviewee name text to blank, set global index to 1. Okay, so let's go here, interviewee's name, and we'll grab this dot text. Actually, you know what? Let's just grab this one and we'll copy it actually twice. So this is going to work out pretty slick, saving us some time. We want to change one of those to interviewee's name. So we're setting them both to blank, and we're going to set our global index. Copy that, and then we will just delete. We'll pull this brick out of here, delete that, and plug it in. So we've now set our index loop back to 1. So when we do the interview again, we can cycle through. Okay. So moving on. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Each time the program runs through the conditional, yes, okay. So after we go and check through the conditional, add a set display questions.text at the end outside the control structure. You may copy and paste the blocks from inside the initialize screen event handler or recreate it. Okay, so we want to check here. Let's copy this and paste this, and we'll have to drag it on down. Okay, so after it's clicked, we'll check to see. Then depending on where we are, what we're most likely going to do is, depending on what this index number is, either it's 1 or it's plus 1, then we'll display that question text. Okay, so that's good. And then to global interview questions inside the net inside. Display questions click and select. Okay, so I think directions 20 and 21 are pretty much the same. Okay, test, debug, and adjust. I already tested it. It was working. The last thing we're going to go over here, I think, for now, and I may have to do a 2-part video for this one, is looking at the date picker. So the date picker is actually kind of an interesting thing to use, and we have this we have this right here, a label date test, purely for the purpose of seeing what it looks like when we pick the date and messing with the format. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to set the output of the date picker test label. Okay, so first thing let's do is let's set this one date.text date.text 2. Okay, so we want to know that one. Okay, select the date picker after date set event handler. So we're going to look at the date picker, and we're going to choose the date picker after date set. Okay, and then right there, perfect. So after we choose the date from the date picker, you'll see when you click on that, a little calendar pops up and you click on the date that you want to go with. So we are going to use the string connecticate to connecticate the month, the day, and the year from the date picker drawer. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab the connecticate right here from the text. So that they use the word join. And we're going to join, let's add a bunch of these because I think we're going to need them. We're going to join the month, the day, and the year. So I believe we can find those right here in the date picker. Yes, date picker.year, and then date picker again. We'll choose the month. If we can find, oh, here we go. I remember. Yes, we'll just copy and paste this a bunch of times. And then we can choose the day. No, sorry, let's start with the month and then the day and then the year. Okay. Now you'll notice when you test it with the label that things look kind of bad. They're a little bit hard to read. So what you want to do is you want to trim things and connecticate them, which means join them together, join the strings, so that we have examples like this. You have the month, a dash, and then the day, and then a dash, and then the year, right? So if sometimes you might have to trim off some zeros, or you might have to trim off, like if you don't want the 2017, you might have to trim off the 20. So what you're going to do is you are going to use this starts at text, and you're going to use the piece right here. So right here, segment text, start, and length. Although actually this is a little bit different. The one we have, maybe, yeah, that's actually something different. Sorry. Starts at text, segment text, start, length right here, right? So you could use that, and then you could plug in sorry, if you want to do the year and you just want the 20, or you just want the 17, not the 20, you could start at, for instance, the third, the third digit in the number, and just keep two of them. Okay. So there we go. We're going to have to do some more in order to get this thing up and running. Your job right now is to just get the date going, and then we will have one more video that shows you how to store and recall the information using the Tiny database. All right, good luck, and thank you again for watching.